But then, then Joe Biden tries to take a positive turn. But I want you to listen carefully to how he phrases this next sentence when he's talking about American exceptionalism.
Now, after just 100 days, I can report to the nation, America is on the move again.
Yeah, America is on the move again. Keep in mind, he didn't say America is moving up again. America is on the rise again. America's on the move again. What he doesn't want to tell you is America is moving toward socialism. It's moving toward a communist form of government. America is not, it's moving away from historically what America has always been and should always be. He didn't say America's going up. He said America is on the move. And that's important as you listen to what's happening in the rest of this speech.
After I promised we'd get 100 million COVID-19 vaccine shots into people's arms in 100 days, we will have provided over 220 million COVID shots in those 100 days.
This is where the spin begins, because this is where he starts to take credit for something that he didn't even think was possible. In fact, nobody in his party thought was possible. Nancy Pelosi said it would never happen. Kamala Harris said if it does happen, you shouldn't take the shot at all. And Joe Biden himself said, we can't rush the science. A COVID-19 vaccine could take 2, 3, 5, even 10 years to perfect. But of course, under the auspices of Donald Trump, under the fantastic leadership of Donald Trump's administration, we got not 1, but 3 vaccines before the end of 2020. In fact, Joe Biden himself, one of the first politicians to be vaccinated with Donald Trump's vaccine, the same vaccine that he said would be a medical miracle if it happened, a medical miracle. Well, the medical miracle arrived, and when it did, Joe Biden does what Joe Biden has done his entire career, takes credit for something he had no part in. I mean, remember when he ran for president the first 2 times and he got pummeled because they found out he'd plagiarized his speeches, he'd plagiarized other people's words. He couldn't even write his own agenda back then. That's why he was never president of the United States. That's why he was tossed into the waste paper basket of history. That's why Barack Obama had to pull him out and uncrumple him and smooth him out like a sheet of wrinkled paper and say, all right, you can be vice president. How about that? That's what he had to settle for vice president, because he'd failed twice before, because he had no unique ideas. He just took credit for other people's work. And now, 50 years later, when he's president of the United States, old habits die hard. He looks around and says, wow, Donald Trump made this medical miracle. I'll just take the credit for it. I'll just take the credit. Well, yeah, you know what? I didn't think this would happen for 10 years, but now that it did, let's do 200 million shots. But is he giving credit where credit is due? Of course not. That's not what Joe Biden does. Not only does he plagiarize speeches, he plagiarizes historical accomplishments as well. And that is evident in his next statement about the logistics of getting this vaccine out.
Our progress these past 100 days against one of the worst pandemics in history has been one of the greatest logistical achievements this country's ever seen.
That is true. And at that point, he should have said, and I would like to thank my predecessor, Donald Trump, for setting up the logistical operations that he called Project Warp Speed. Project Warp Speed, which made sure that when we had these 3 vaccines approved for emergency use, and when we had mass production of these 3 vaccines, we would have the logistical processes to make sure that they were getting shipped out around the country, that we would have refrigerated trucks, because most of these vaccines have to be kept at a specific temperature or they basically become waste. We need to make sure that we have additional resources like hypodermic needles and alcohol swabs and bandages, and we need more PPE for the people administering the shots, and we need to make sure that pharmacies are going to be ready to give these shots, and medical centers. We need to get the National Guard involved. This should really be a military operation. And Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States, who pushed for the FDA and all these organizations, Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, to get these vaccines out super fast, also ordered the military to create the logistical process by which they could be distributed to the hundreds of millions of Americans that Joe Biden is now taking credit for. So yes, Joe Biden was right in saying this was one of the biggest logistical successes in American history. What he forgot was to say, thank you, Donald Trump.